This is a jalapeno, and this is a habanero. These two popular peppers are definitely different, but they've also got some surprising similarities. Today, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. And be sure to watch until the end when I taste these peppers and tell you what they're like. Hello and welcome to I Want to Cook. My name is Chef Matt and this channel is all about helping you be a better cook. And today we are talking about peppers. Peppers are popular to cook with, they're popular to eat, and I've got two really good ones here. So it only takes one look at a jalapeno and a habanero to tell these guys are different, but like I say, they've actually got some surprising similarities. So before I discuss each of these peppers and kind of their differences, their contrast with the other, let's talk about how they are similar. And the first is that they are both widely available. You can go to just about any supermarket, at least here in the United States, and find each of these peppers in the produce section. They're both also relatively inexpensive. If you are looking for a way to add a lot of flavor to whatever you're cooking for a very low cost, peppers are absolutely wonderful in that respect. Both of these peppers can also be used either raw or cooked. They are delicious as a garnish, and they're also equally delicious when they are built into the food that you're cooking. And as far as cooking them, you can saute them, you can bake them. One of my favorite ways to cook them is actually in an air fryer, where you're essentially roasting these peppers. And when you do that, it changes their flavor, it takes away some of their sharpness, it makes them really delicious. Another way you can buy these is pickled. Now, pickled jalapenos are really popular. I'm sure you've seen these before, but believe it or not, you can find pickled habanero peppers. They're a little bit more difficult to find, but they are available. As you might imagine, each of these is also really good in salsa, either like a fresh salsa like a pico de gallo or a salsa that's using cooked ingredients. These are both wonderful additions and will really make you happy depending what type of spice level you want. Now, both of these have different spice levels compared to each other, but each also has its own individual spice level, and you really don't know what that is until you, well, start eating it. I've had jalapenos that aren't very spicy, almost like a bell pepper, and I've had some that are, pretty darn hot. Now, habaneros, these begin at hot and they only go up in intensity. And finally, if you cut these up and you take out some of the seeds and some of that pith, that can reduce the bitterness and also reduce the heat level of both of these peppers. Okay, now let's talk about the jalapeno pepper, and I've talked about this pepper before. In fact, I did a comparison of a jalapeno versus serrano peppers, and if you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link to that in the description below. But jalapeno peppers are wonderful. They've got a nice heat to them. Now, on the Scoville rating, which is how we measure the heat of these, they are between 2,000 and 8,000 Scoville, which is pretty hot, especially at the upper end, but it's not like crazy hot. Now, like I said, jalapenos are ubiquitous. These are a very popular pepper. You can find these at most grocery stores. Heck, you could even walk into like a 7-Eleven and find pickled jalapenos for your nachos or hot dog or whatever. Same with going to like a stadium, a ballpark. They're everywhere. As for size, jalapenos are relatively large. They can be about 4 inches in length, and here it is compared to a little Lego figurine, just so you get a sense of scale. Now, in addition to being on the longer side, jalapenos also have a thicker skin, and that thick skin allows for more versatility in cooking. So, for example, if you've ever had a jalapeno popper with cream cheese stuffed inside and these battered and fried, that is one way that you can use a jalapeno. That thick skin allows them to take that heat, to take that cooking. Okay, now let's talk about the habanero pepper, and obviously these stand out first and foremost just from their color and their shape. Compared to this green jalapeno, this is a bright orange. This is very different. It's also very different in shape, whereas the jalapeno has this cylindrical shape. These habaneros look kind of like a little lantern. Now, as far as the heat scale, the Scoville rating on these, they are much higher than a jalapeno. We are talking 100,000 to 350,000 Scoville. That is quite hot. Now, what I've noticed about habaneros in recent years is that they have become a lot more popular. It's easy to go even to like a smaller supermarket and find these. Here in Southern California, they are ubiquitous. I'm actually really curious where you live if you can find these. I do see these in stores that I go to across the United States though. Now, oftentimes the habanero is the hottest pepper that you'll find in a mainstream grocery market. Although I will say that I have been seeing even hotter peppers like ghost peppers, that one that I tried way back when. You do see those occasionally in a supermarket, but for the most part, the habanero is going to be the hottest pepper that's going to be stocked in the produce section of your grocery store. Now, size-wise, these are smaller than a jalapeno. These might just be about 1 or 2 inches in length. And again, I'll bring out our Lego friend here so you get a sense of scale about the size of this pepper. Now, another difference between the habanero and the jalapeno is that the habanero has a thinner skin. So whereas you have this big thick skin on the jalapeno, this one is quite thin. Now, when you're working with peppers, and especially hot peppers like this habanero, you want to be very, very careful. That's because the oils and such will get on your skin, and it seems no matter how many times you wash them, they remain. So you want to be very careful. You don't want to touch your eyes. You don't want to touch any other sensitive parts of your body, which I have done like a million times. And you might just be better off wearing gloves, like latex gloves, especially if you are super sensitive or cutting up a lot of these peppers. Another tip I have when working with these, again, especially the hotter habaneros, is if you're cooking them, cook them outside. They do let off some really strong fumes, and those just might be better off outside your home, especially if you have friends or relatives who are sensitive to that. Now, you might be wondering, how do these compare as far as taste? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Now, you're probably not going to be just eating these raw on their own, but that's exactly what I'm going to do to try to describe the flavor. So you've probably had a jalapeno before, but just in case you haven't, I'll eat one of these slices here. And jalapeno, this one isn't too hot. It's kind of got the texture of a bell pepper, but it's got more of a sharpness. It's more of a, I don't know, like a grassy flavor. It's fresh, it's good, it's, quite tasty, and it packs some heat. Now I'll try a little bit of habanero, and if you've never had a habanero before, start small. That's all I can say, because these do pack quite a punch. So I'll just take a piece of habanero here, and again, this is just raw. I just cut it up. And I tell you, I love spicy food, and I really love habaneros. This one actually isn't too spicy, relatively speaking, but I love the flavor of habaneros. That's because they're not just like spicy, hot for hot's sake. To me, they have kind of a floral note, and I know that might be funny to say, but they do. They just kind of have like this citrus back note, and to me, they're probably my favorite pepper because they're really hot, they're really spicy, but they're also flavorful. It's not like way back when I tried the bomb, that crazy hot sauce that just like didn't have any flavor and it was just heat. It was terrible. These are actually really, really good. And I find that they are delicious either raw or cooked. So there you go. There's a little comparison between the jalapeno pepper and the habanero pepper. Which one is your favorite? I would love to hear. Okay, looks like I've got some cooking to do, some high heat cooking, and also wash my hands. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Welcome to my kitchen. I am so glad that you are here. Until next time, I hope you want to cook.